Lady A on the K97 Lunch Bunch. You look good. And we have a special guest in the studio today from Aldrich Engineer, Chuck Aldrich. Chuck, how you doing today?
Doing great.
So what do you have here for us?
Decimal inch tape measures.
All right.
And they're different from regular tape measures because they're a whole lot easier to read for anybody 3 years and older.
Yeah.
Because my daughter used the fabric tape measures to teach children their numbers, counting and measuring. And on one side, it goes inches to 60 inches. On the other side, it goes to 5 feet. And I originally designed these to help engineers, machinists, and assemblers in factories because the drawings are all decimal inch and the tape measures that were available were fractional inch, meaning they had quarter, half, eighth, 16th on the tape measure. On the drawing, it's all decimal inch. So these tape measures avoid the conversion from decimals to fractions.
Which, I mean, most of the time, that's how a lot of measurements go. You know, you'll get a 0.3 rather than a 0.25 when you're dealing with inches, right?
Correct.
So, yeah, no, it sounds like it is very handy. When did you get started with this?
I got my first batch of tape measures that were 25 foot, 300 inch in January of 2020.
Okay. And what field did you start in and what gave you the idea to get this going?
I was working at a company, and the first week that I got there, there were people coming back from meetings saying the assemblers don't know how to read a tape measure, or they're having problems reading it. And I'm going, well, first off, they've got drawings that are decimal inch and you've got a fractional inch tape measure. So why aren't you using decimal inch tape measures? And they said, well, find one. We'll see if we can use it. And I couldn't find any 25-foot tape measures that were decimal inch. So I designed one and had one made.
Very cool. Very cool. I look bunch. It is the Scoop with Chuck Aldrich of Aldrich Engineer. Decimal tape measures, something that new to me before I found out about this last week, Chuck.
Yes. I'm the only one that makes a 25-foot decimal inch tape measure. And on the tape measure, it's inches on one side and feet and inches on the other side. Each tenth of an inch is marked with a number, so it's really easy to read. And the reason I came up with it is because I worked at factories where all the drawings were in decimal inches, the tape measures were fractional inches, and people were having a problem converting from one to the other because it's like if it's 0.3, somebody looks at that and they go, okay, 3/4, which is not even close to what 0.3 is. It's closer to 3/8, but not exactly. With this tape measure, you get exact measurements for whatever you're doing. It's so easy that a guy on the East Coast called me and said, hey, I work on projects with my wife and daughter with a regular tape measure. I had to check their work. With this tape measure, I give them the measurement. They mark it exactly where I want it, and it saves a lot of time doing that. It would also save time in companies if they use this tape measure because first off, they'd get the accurate measurement and they don't have to convert from decimal inches on the drawing to fractional inches on the tape measure because it's a straight number. Whatever is on the drawing is the numbers that are on the tape measure.
And one thing I noticed too is that it actually starts at the right spot, like on the hook of it, like it looks dead on accurate.
Yes, I've had the 25-foot tape measure certified, and it is a class 1 tape measure, meaning it's the highest accuracy tape measure that you can buy.
So like hobby wise, do you do like woodworking or anything? Did this come in to help there? Or?
It has come in to help woodworkers who are making smaller projects. It's like if they have to calculate the distance on a piece of wood, and what they have to do if they're going to calculate it is they have to switch the numbers to decimals to enter it in to a calculator. And then they have to switch again from when they get the answer back to fractions. So they're losing accuracy each time they switch.
Yeah, I mean, no, I admittedly I would mess the math up myself anyway.
Well, like where I took shop in high school, where was this at when I was in high school? Like, why not sooner?
Because tape measures, not a lot of people pay attention to them. And if you want to get these, you can go to my website, which is aldrichengineer.com. If you want to email me, my email is aldrichengineer@yahoo.com. So it makes it easy.
Yeah, oh yeah.
It's like either way you want to go. And for these, I came up with them and got my first batch in January of 2020, just before COVID started, or the reaction to COVID. So what happens is people can order online for my tape measures, or they can come to the farmer's market and get tape measures there. And these are really easy to use, accurate, and most of the people love them because they don't have to convert numbers anymore.
And you have different styles in front of you too.
Right. There's the 25-foot one, which is the main one that most of the manufacturers will use in factories. The 10-foot one is used by inspectors who want to check to make sure parts are where they're supposed to be or the setup is where it's supposed to be. There's a company on the East Coast that sets up test labs for other companies, and they use a lot of my tape measures, and they use the 25-foot and the 10-foot or the 120-inch because they have people coming from outside of the country that don't understand the fractions, much like most of the people in the U.S. don't comprehend fractions very well.
Are you saying a quarter pounder isn't more than a half pounder, but it's 1/4? 4's bigger than 2. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. The third pounder too is another one.
Oh, geez. No, come on. Let's not get everything all confusing here. Hey, we're going to be talking more with Chuck Aldrich of Aldrich Engineering. And you scoop now, we've got in the studio Chuck Aldrich from Aldrich Engineer. AldrichEngineer.com is where you can find decimal tape measures, which seem incredibly handy, Chuck.
Thank you. That's the way I designed them, is to make them incredibly handy because people don't like to do the conversions. And with these tape measures, I sell them all over the world, from Australia to England, Mexico, Canada, France, lots of places. And the first year I sold them, I sold to every state except Delaware.
Delaware.
No, I'm not convinced Delaware is real.
No,
to be honest,
it's
I don't know anyone that's ever been to Delaware. I don't know anyone from Delaware. Like I've said this before, I'm not convinced Delaware is an actual state.
Road trip.
Yeah.
It's hard to find because it's so small.
So with these, who is your typical clientele? Like who's buying these?
A lot of people buy them for their own personal use, and I sell to companies. There's a company that has bought over 60 of them in Michigan that makes containers. There's a company that Bluebird in Georgia that makes buses, and they bought over 30 of the 120-inch for their inspectors to check the seating bolts. And there's a company in Texas that bought over 30, and they make coiled steel. So it's like a real variety of people and occupations that use tape measures. And it's like at the farmer's market, one of the women who makes bakery products, she bought some, or I traded bakery for my tape measures, which I came out good on that. Good
Oh, yeah.
bakery stuff. So she uses them. She was working on a fence by herself. The fence was steel and the tape measures have magnets. So she was able to figure out what size she needed for fixing the fence. And she got the fabric one for inside the house. When she's making squares for selling, she wants them all the same size. So she can use these decimal inch tape measures to measure on the pan so that she gets all the squares the right size. So they don't have the small ones and the big ones. They're all the same size.
I like the big ones though.
Oh, we know you do, Cadence.
Yes,
You tell us that all the time.
absolutely.
So yeah, farmers market. We can find you this Saturday, correct?
Correct.
Farmers market. That is, where is that at?
Right across the street from the Villager.
The Village Inn. You mean?
No, the Village General Store.
Oh, the
Yeah.
Village General Store.
Yeah.
Okay. The
Right,
Villager's like a chain of restaurants in small towns too. Yeah.
I get what you're saying.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
it's
why I
right
was
across
thrown
the
off.
street there in that old car parking lot.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And have you seen a lot of success with that there?
Yes.
Setting up shop?
Yeah. Most people look at it, oh, it's just tape measures. And so I have to say, hi, come on over. These are my inventions because they've got my name on. That's one thing that inventions typically do is on the outside, it's got my name and Aldrich Engineer. That's my company. So it works out really well because I point to it and I say, I actually invented these because they've got my name on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know what? And having your name on it, I know a lot of times on the job site, tape measure is one of those things that somebody's going to pick up and, oh, yep, accidentally grabbed the wrong one. And now it's like, oh no, you're going to be able to know because that name is right on there. Somebody takes your tape measure.
Definitely. And if you have my tape measure, you're probably the only one that will have my tape measure on a job site, at least until I start selling thousands.
Well, yeah, until somebody sees it and they're like, wait a minute. Hey, yeah, this is a lot easier than the conversion. How many different sizes do you have there?
I've got 3 sizes. One is the fabric one, and it's 5 feet on one side, 60 inches on the other side. The one that says 10 feet doesn't actually have feet on it. It's all inches, so 120 inches. And the 25 foot is also 300 inches because on the bottom side, it's black and it's all inches, so 300 inches. On the top side, it's feet and inches, so 25 feet.
Excellent. And it's magnetized, right?
Correct. The magnet is on the hook, so you can measure to steel or other metals that the magnet adheres to, and you can extend just using the magnets.
Yeah, and they are sturdy. I mean, we were kind of messing around with them earlier, Hank. If you're watching on the Facebook page, you can see Hank's been just goofing around with them a lot. And yeah, I mean, they're built strong.
Yeah, they've got a rubber coating in case you drop them. Less chance of falling apart.
Yeah, very good. Very good. Well, again, Aldrich Engineer, very handy. I mean, this is going to definitely help out a lot of folks. So like manufacturers, even I know there's like a lot of manufacturers even in town, I think that would benefit from this. And you're based out of Clarion, correct?
Correct.
All right. So do you have a shop up there or do you do everything pretty much online?
I sell out of my house, so it's pretty much online. I have had a few people come by and they get the farmer's market price because I don't have to pay for shipping. So if I benefit, they benefit too.
All right. And again, this Saturday, you'll be at the farmer's market here in town. And then can we talk about the square dancing a little bit?
Sure.
Next weekend, you're going to be, you're like a competitive square dancer, huh?
I am. I went to nationals in June in Alabama, Mobile, Alabama, and the square I was in came in second for last square standing.
That
Oh, wow.
is so cool.
Which is a national competition. Most times square dancing is not a competitive activity.
Yeah, I'd say it's mostly just for fun. And
Right.
how did you get into it? Like, how old were you, and when did that start for you?
When I was in high school, I had an aunt and uncle that square danced, and they talked me into going to square dancing. So I went through lessons then, and I didn't square dance again until I was in my 30s. And then I started in Minnesota. I was living there and got invited to lessons. So I went, and the person who invited me didn't get there, but I had fun. So I kept going back.
Oh, cool, man. Well, best of luck to you. And I hope you have a great time next weekend. And we'll definitely have to come out and see you with these tape measures, decimal tape measures. Again, you don't even think about how handy something's going to be until, like, it's there. So great idea you have here, Chuck.
Thank you.
Yeah, you got it.